Matcha Bunny, and today we are going to be continuing our lovely little story of Tiny Bunny. Idealistically, we will get a different a different chapter 1 ending, seeing if actually grabbing the mitten does anything different. But we gotta get there to find out. So, without further ado, let's go. Oops, I'm gonna put that, there we go. I felt extremely unsettled just from the silly thought that our morning guest could have come from the woods. I could barely hear voices coming from the front door. My mind was urging me to hide in the closet, under the table, behind the curtains where Olio always hides. Tony, come here. I felt like kettlebells were tied to my feet, but still dragged them towards the hallway. I forgot to drink water before starting recording. A couple of policemen towered over me in the doorway. They smelled like frost and worry. My mom always winced and grumbled at the moment she saw patrol cars. Worse than bandits. At the moment, though, she looked somewhat confused. Hello? The senior officer who wore a grim expression nodded. A boy has gone missing yesterday. His name is Vova. Look at this, please. Have you seen him? The policeman held out a photograph to me. There was a young ginger boy around the age of an elementary school, pictured with a wall carpet as a backdrop. He had a striped cat in his hands and wore a wide smile. No, I haven't. Are you sure? Look closely. Where would I see him? I don't know anyone around here. I barely leave the house. Well, maybe you've seen him from the window. That's right. Your window looks straight to the forest, don't they? The window? No, I haven't seen anything. I see. He sounded tired, but his stare, long and heavy, was full of suspicion. I squirmed unwillingly under the weight of guilt which his giant shadow casted over me. The policeman finally tore his eyes from me and glanced over the hallway, the stairway, and the cracks in the ceiling, which I haven't noticed before for some reason. How do you like the new place, by the way? Getting used to it? Bit by bit. Just our little daughter misses the city a lot. Misses the city, huh? Have the locals been treating you well? Yes, everything's alright. Thank you. The policeman pierced through me one more time with his gray eyes. My head started to spin. Can I help you somehow? I asked that in a shaky voice to look like the polite boy and to end this unpleasant conversation sooner. Now that I think about it, you look just like one of my nephews, little fella. He's a witty boy around your age, wears the same type of goggles. Always engrossed in reading those mystery novels. He told me he wants to enroll in play school when his family visits this summer. Wanted to help other people just like me, see? I felt uncomfortable, as if a distant relative and not a police officer stood before me. You know what? Little boys like you should stay at home, steer away from trouble. The times have changed so much. Mom interjected in a cold voice. You don't say. Well then, what grade are you in, Tony boy? 6th. Have you made any friends here so far? Not yet. I'm going to school for the first time after the break. Then I'll leave you my number just in case. Call me if you have any new info. The policemen were gone, along with their shadows. The smell of cheap cologne and the photo of a smiling boy. His face still stood before my eyes. I wondered what it was like for him being all alone there. For some reason, I thought of the forest swaying in the wind. What did his poor parents feel like? And what would my parents do if I had gone missing? Would they cry and thrash around hysterically? Or would they accuse each other, like they always do, and forget about me eventually? Mom, this Vova, did he go missing in our forest? It seems like, poor child. I looked out the window at the road. The police UAZ drove off towards the village. The officer's nephew came to mind when I was splitting off old paint from the windowsill. I remembered all the teenage mystery novels from the Black Kitty series I read this summer. Your average boy and girls investigate all sorts of mysteries there. They look for clues, spy on suspicious people. And after a set of amazing adventures, bam! They solve a complicated case. They became local celebrities and must have made their parents very proud. I noticed a trail of policemen's footprints that led to the forest. And then it clicked in my head. Why don't I start an investigation of my own? Maybe I'll find that lost boy. And I'll get a reward. Olia would be so happy. And not only Olia, Mom and Dad too. Maybe they'd even forget about their quarrels for a while. Maybe I'll even save us from the D word. I fantasize about buying Olia a Tomodachi and getting a cassette player and a bunch of tapes for myself. And a whole box of Kinder Surprise. When was the last time our parents brought us any toys? Last autumn. I think my dad lost his job at that time. There was that annoying song about it. I had little to no idea what was the accountant's job like. They count money, I think. Neighbors used to envy us. But nowadays, Mom and Dad barely had money to afford sweets. Dad would always divide a single chocolate bar between me and Olia. Sometimes I gave her my share too. No matter how much I wanted to eat sweets, she was still just a pipsqueak. I couldn't wait to go out and look for clues. I'm going outside. Yeah, right. You want the police to go around with your photo next? The forest is too thick. What if the boy got snatched up by a wild animal? Or something even worse? Even worse echoed through the hallway. I won't go far. I'll stay away from the forest. Did you hear what I said? Or should I repeat myself? Oops. Better go pack your school bag or play with Olia. The sound of splashing water came from the kitchen. It meant that the argument was over, and Mom had the last word. For now. A dark, stuffy closet. Mom said it smells like mice. How would she know their smell? She hates when I stick my nose in there. She was afraid I'd cut myself on the freshly sharpened axe. That is... And Olia hasn't even lurked close to it. She thinks Babai lives there. I tried to help her fight her fear once. I opened the door and turned on a dim light. She would see there's nothing but cobwebs and Dad's tools and scratched walls. She still didn't believe me. And I liked to hide in the closet and listen to Olia's count outside. 1, 2, 3. Better hide from me. And then drag her feet to the creaking floorboards, hoping she wouldn't need to look for me in the cramped monster's den. Okay, so this one we know doesn't work. This cross has seen so many people come and go into this house. It was black, as if it had absorbed all human sin from the long years it was hanging under the ceiling. After Grandma died, Mom was going to take it off and hang a horseshoe in its place as a lucky charm. But she cut herself with the cross sharp corners and almost fell from the ladder. Dad called it a sign from above and ordered the cross to be left alone in its rightful place. I think that's... And then that's the phone. Okay. Grandma cooked ice cream for me and Olia there, but now all I see is bits of soup and clumped together pelmeni. I really hate them already. Emircom of Russia has declared a state of emergency due to adverse weather conditions. According to the weather forecast, a cyclone is moving towards the region. Expect heavy snowfall, blizzards, and snowdrifts on the road. Keep an eye open and take care of yourself. I forgot. Nope. Fudge. It was the foot led Mom, but there was no other way for me to run away from home. Mom? Oh, wrong voice. Something's wrong with the TV. The picture is dim and there's stripes all over the screen. Mom's face became visibly distorted. You're killing me here. So have you already had enough shooting those stupid ducks now? Told you the kinescope would go dim because of your console. Where did we find a TV technician in this hole? Huh? Maybe it's just the settings? Please go see for me? Strange, it worked fine this morning. Maybe the snowfall caused it? Mom rubbed her hands clean on her apron and went to Olia's room. Now's my time. Run! Yep, this is smart. Yes, go. Oops. That's a smart. Go outside where you know that the kid has gone recently missing. Totally smart. You know. Ow, tea is hot. At least my news. Okay. I opened the front gate and went into the field. Carefully, so Mom wouldn't see me from the window. When I crossed half the distance towards the forest, the snow piles became as high as my knees. I remembered my nightly fears. I saw those silhouettes around here. They were jumping around, holding hands. That hypnotizing music started playing in my head all on its own. In the light of day, those distant figures felt like a simple dream. The sun turned my nightmares to ash, but the aftertaste was still there. Distant, ringing in my ears. Distorted shadows crawling on the snow alongside me. And barely audible whisper in my head, blurry and almost kind. Cockeye, but okay. Not scary, but that's fine. Everything was silent. So silent, I felt like the world was totally empty. No ground, no sky, no parents, no Olia. The time reached its limit. A one-way trip that ends at the forest's pinky stockade. Sometimes silence was much scarier than any scream. Our parents would scream at each other while arguing, and both me and Olia turned to stone listening to them. But then always came the rising silence. Our apartment became numb and for a couple of days before we departed. It was hard to remember the last time Mom and Dad joked around, laughing or spending time together, almost like it was in a previous life. When they kissed in Olia's present, she always frowned and snorted in a funny way. But one day, it all changed. Something important had left our home, and something scary filled the remaining void. It was as if fire broke up, and our parents were hurriedly packing our belongings, trying to save themselves and us. From who, though? From people with dead, cold eyes who sometimes visited us in our previous home. The eyes that only saw balls of worms on the black ground and everything. And somewhere far away, a siren was going off, trying to warn us of the coming menace. I shuddered, chasing away my delusions, and looked around. There was only me and this white field and the wind that was whipping up icy dust and belts of powdered snow. I squinted from the sun and turned my eyes to the sunless forest. It looked especially dark in contrast with the blinding whiteness. Knobby tree roots slithered under the snow like fat snakes. Rotten leaves and needles froze into the ice.
Oh, look what Daddy is. It's a meeting.
Dry, prickly branches intertwined, bringing up uncomfortable thoughts about fences. Were they protecting the forest, or were they keeping something from breaking out? Some object was hanging from one of the pointy branches. I tried to get closer, drowning in snow, and when I almost got to the edge of the forest, I saw a knitted mitten. It looked like a wounded bird among the hungering semi-dark. Should I take it to the police? Their senior officer looked gloomy, but he still reminded me of Captain Canova from my favorite TV show, called The Streets in Broken Lights. He was always anxious, with a tired look in his eyes, but still brave and strong. Will this mitten help them find the lost boy? Vola, vova. I heard a distant shout. Looks like it came from the river. Vova. As if the trees were calling out to someone. Vova resounded closer to me. Someone was standing there, behind the trees, hiding. Vova. I knew someone was looking for the lost boy, but still, something was unsettling about that figure. Its stillness. How was it bending unnaturally towards the ground? Its blackness. There's no one there. Just branches and roots. It's just my imagination. A nearby bird flapped its wings loudly. A shadow split from the trees and disappeared from my sight. I looked away for just a moment, but then when I turned my gaze back to the same place, it was gone. So it was my imagination, after all. Silence regained from a painfully long time. Looking, and looking. My muscles were tightly sprung. My heart was beating somewhere in my throat. Any noise, any little movement, any small whisper from the thicket, I'd sprint. But nothing of the sort happened. I think it's definitely gone. Keyword I think. I looked at the mitten once more. So last time, we ran away when we got to this point. So this time, because I'm curious, we gonna take it. I decided to take a lonely mitten from the branch. Oh! Oh! Okay, so this is where, like, things are supposed to be scarier, because, like, the things that... Fova. I want them to come at me. A stout rumbled across the field and dissolved into the distance. No echo, no hope for a reply. Come at me. Come at me, bruh. Come at me, bruh. Is it gonna come at us? I stepped towards the bristly tree and tried to claim my find. Oh, it's gonna get us. It didn't budge. I pulled harder. The branch cracked and the mitten tore off, landing in my hand with a squishy sound. All too wet, heavy, wet. I squeezed it without thinking. Oh! Oh! Something dark spilled from it, forming a tiny string between the mitten and the snow. Stream rose from the snow pile. Oh! And we found the horror part, guys. I froze in place, studying my palms in disgust. Red. The sound of cracking branches invaded the silence. I'm dead. Let's go. I didn't have to think twice before running away. Someone was chasing me from the darkness, breaking pine branches close in the distance with giant leaps. The snow was falling down, crazy thoughts flew through my mind. I'll get caught. They'll get me. I'll get dragged into the thicket. I'll be gone forever. But there was there was one voice, probably one of reason. It gave me the strength to spur me on. I can do this. Don't stop. I heard animal roar behind me. It was so loud my ears went numb. I felt like the sound had come from a pack of hungry beasts rather than a single one. Their nostrils snuck into frozen air. They sensed my fear. 2 giant wings flapped above my head. An enormous shadow flew above the clearing. A hoot and a wheeze. A roar were coming from all directions now. From the dried up raspberry bushes, from the twisted pine, from under the waterfall. Run. Hurry. Don't look back. I read those in the wrong order. Oh, I felt like I was inside a nightmare. The snowy clearing becoming vicious like sandquick. Viscous. I was stuck in place. I pulled my leg from the mushy trap just to be caught in a new one, even deeper than before. I continued to drown, sinking deeper and deeper with every desperate push. Was the snow ever this sticky? I screamed in horror after realizing this isn't snow. Something in the snow pile was clutching my pants. I gathered all my strength and rushed forward. The pressure on my legs was gone. My boot slipped out from the hole. My soles were on hard surface again. I reached a clear path with one jump from there and ran to my house.
Wow.
Its gloomy facade didn't look so threatening now. The house was my line of defense from the shadows that flapped their wings and creatures that were hidden under the snow. I tripped over the doorstep, smashing into the door. All in my hurry, I managed to notice the claw marks, as if a dog was striking the wood with its paws, demanding to be let in so it could escape the cold. I didn't notice these marks when I was leaving. The heartbeat in my ears was much louder than my surroundings. I couldn't hear whether someone was following me or not. What if they were already in our front yard? Mom had locked the door. Drowning in fear, I pulled the door open and it immediately gave away.
Wow.
However, I rolled into the hallway and shut the door behind me. The porch planks creaked as my pursuers ascended the stairs. My finger slipped off the lock and I couldn't click it into place. I gritted my teeth and pulled hard on the iron knob, whipping it between the boards. I stared blankly at the door. Someone was standing on the other side of the pitiful, flimsy barrier that was probably less useful than the blankets. Wheezing, breathing reached into the house and catched me in the waves. I smelled pine and sweat. Mom peeked out from the kitchen and chastised me with the same frigid voice she always used when talking to Dad. What exactly didn't you understand when I told you never to slam the door? I didn't mean to. I snuck a glance at the door. The smell was gone. The breath was too. As if someone in the first place there was... if there was someone in the first place, of course. Here, mere 5 meters away from Mom, my fear slowly weakened, melting like snow in the spring, and with it, the last bit of strength I had left my body too. No one has questioned the blood, which is more confusing. My legs gave away. I popped myself up against the wall so I wouldn't fall over. Mom's expression hasn't changed. Mom's expression had changed immediately. A cold mask of strychnine and detachment was gone. Mom looked the same as before all those quarrels. She saw my condition, my wet pants plastered with snow. Where have you been? What did I tell you, huh? I told you to stay home. Am I nothing to you, too? I got afraid she would cry. I reached out for her, like when I was little, and she wanted me to her to cuddle me. But Mom regained her composure fast and put on her usual face. Her eyes shined like steel. Her voice rang out. Your dad can't find his cigarettes. To be honest, did you snatch them? Were you smoking in secret? There was someone chasing me. I thought... I stuttered as soon as I started to explain myself. Tears welled up in my eyes. Mom leaned towards me and sniffed my clothes like a beast, searching for the smell of tobacco. Then she squinted her eyes, suspicious, and looked into the front yard. Her expression changed in an instant. She covered her mouth with her hand. Look there, at the fence. My heart started thumping as if I had become prey once again, and my pursuers were following me in the field. I could swear that I could hear something scratching the door, just like in my nightmares. My mom beckoned me with her finger, and I gathered all my regained bravery to look into the kitchen window facing my fear. I could barely discern some hairy silhouette swimming in the snow through the icy winter patterns on the glass. Dogs. Just a small pack of strays with no name, no owner, barely remaining of the hungry monster that lived at the edge of the forest. Oh boy, you were scared of them? I think they'd rather be scared of you, Anton. They were chasing me, like a bunny. And what if they were rabid? The smile slowly disappeared from my mom's face. Now she looked at the dogs as if they were the first time seeing them. What if they attack Olia? Mom, I wish your dad could just shoot them all. Mom, look, they're alive. Huh? What? Are they your friend or foe after all? Make up your mind. You're not a little kid anymore. Mom sighed in annoyance, and I felt so bitter that I bit my lower lip and fixed my gaze on the cobweb-ridden corner. Well, some detective I am. In reality, I wasn't risking my life among monsters, but rather my pants among the pack of stupid strays. And what for? What use do I have for this? Mitten? Of course. The darkened, sticky mitten that belonged to the lost boy made a squishy sound in my hands. Seems like I was clutching it the whole time. This was my trump card as a detective. I hurried to present this clue to my mom. Oh, it does change it. Oh, it does change it. Mom, look, this is Viola's mitten. The boy the police were asking about this morning. It's drenched in blood. I found it hanging on the tree. Can I show where? Let's call the police right away, like the officer told us to. Mom, look. Ew. The shadow slowly crept into my mom's concerned face, as if she was trying to remember something distant, like someone tries to remember their dreams, but the image slips away. Stop this moment. Olia will go insane if she hears you. She's already having trouble sleeping and whines all the time. And you joke around like this? At that moment, I realized the mitten was actually wet from snow. There was no blood whatsoever. I wanted to sink through the floor from embarrassment. Come here, my boy. You cried. Come here, my boy who cried wolf. Oh, don't just stand there. Come take your pills. A golden colored pill, reminiscent of a dead wasp, fell into my palm. I already took one during breakfast. Don't talk over me. I told you to stay home, and you... Dad would have put you a good whipping for that. Come on, take it, or you won't be able to sleep at night, and you have school tomorrow. So I had to swallow the bitter medicine, drinking it down with a similarly awful water that gave off a taste of chlorine. Maybe it wasn't Vulva's mitten. Maybe it wasn't a mitten at all. Just like the forest monsters and Olia's owl. Am I going mad? What's happening to me? Either the pill had an immediate effect or my overexertion brain didn't let fear inside anymore. Serenity washed over me, bringing yawn need indifference along with it. Anton, you done? See, you can do it when you try. Take off your coat. Are you asleep? Are you asleep? Oh, Mom, I was just thinking. What about, I wonder? It was just something silly. My mom scrutinized me with suspicious eyes, as if she wasn't sure she was looking at her own son and not some doppelganger that came from the forest. Is everything all right? You had the exact expression when the policeman asked you about the window. I'm all right, Mom. She heaved a heavy sigh. Fine. It seemed like the house had changed. The soft fabric had become discolored. Fingerprints appeared on the bathroom tiles. The light bulbs felt different, dimmer, and yellower. Even the saliva in my mouth had a different taste. However, bloop, we're gonna save really fast. Yes, I'd like to overwrite that one. Cool. However, that is the end of today's lovely episode of our horror game that actually was closer to a horror game today, which was interesting. But if you liked the video, please remember to like, subscribe. If you want, leave a comment, and I will see you guys next time in the next video. Bye bye.